Oh my god, what?
It's 2022. It's time to do the worst movie ever.
Ballistic X versus Sever.
I couldn't find that streaming anywhere.
Manos, the Hand of Fate.
Think older?
They saved Hitler's brain?
Wow, there are a lot of bad movies. Yeah, no, it's Ishtar.
That's how you get ants!
Between 1940 and 1962, Bing Crosby and Bob Hope starred in 7 Road to movies. These movies featured the musical comedy pair bumbling their way through misadventures in various exotic locations like Zanzibar, Bali, and Utopia, which took place in Africa. You're probably familiar with the idea as it inspired a score of Brian and Stewie road trip episodes of Family Guy. It's a slightly more specific version of the buddy picture, but just because Hope and Crosby could pull it off doesn't mean everyone could. In 1987, Elaine May, the writer for Heaven Can Wait and script doctor for Tootsie, was tapped to write and direct the Road to style movie that would become synonymous with bad movies. Ishtar. Ishtar has been included in Michael Sauter's The Worst Movies of All Time book, Richard Roeper's 40 Worst Films He'd Seen, and in 1999, Time included it on a list of the 100 worst ideas of the 20th century. Well, no one said there needed to be subtlety in criticism. It killed May's directing career. She went on to write The Birdcage and Primary Colors, so I guess it's not all bad. So is it as bad as everyone says, or can we find anything nice to say about Ishtar?
Ishtar, written and directed by Elaine May.
Sometimes I wonder how off-kilter my sense of humor is. I mean, I have a YouTube channel where I watch heavily criticized movies on purpose to see if I can find anything nice to say about them. I thought Ishtar was hilarious. Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty play completely incompetent songwriters who have given up their lives to pursue their dreams. In 1987, casting these two as incompetent buffoons was probably unheard of. I mean, Hoffman is coming from movies like The Graduate, All the President's Men, and Kramer vs. Kramer. Even if Tootsie was a comedy, his track record doesn't really make him seem like the top choice for half of a slapstick duo. Before Hook, before Meet the Fockers, before he was a raccoon in Kung Fu Panda, it's easier to see his comedic talents now. Then you have Warren Beatty of Bonnie and Clyde, Splendor in the Grass, and Reds. Dramatic leading guy, the guy who always gets the girl. Beatty and Hoffman play Rogers and Clark. In the opening, we hear them working on a rough draft of a song together. It's not great, but with some work, they might have something.
Is a scary, telling the truth is a scary predicament. Telling the truth is a bitter herb. Telling the truth.
They get in touch with an agent and convince him to come to their open mic night. We get the other acts first, and are they bad? Then Rogers and Clark take the stage. Yeah, the song really never made it past the rough draft. They sound like they're still working on it. But that's the song. That's the whole song. There is no fine-tuning. And this is the joke. They suck. If you don't find that funny, you're not going to find anything in the rest of the movie very funny because that joke is the through line. TV Tropes lists this as cringe comedy with the note, the 80s wasn't ready for this. It's a mainstay in modern comedy, which may be why, watching Ishtar in 2022 instead of in 1987, I found it so funny. We get the backstory on the partners. Rogers used to be an ice cream man and was writing songs on the side. Clark is playing a piano at an Italian restaurant. For a couple's 50th anniversary, he writes a song about death. Not only is he a bad songwriter, he doesn't know how to read a room. Rogers is at the restaurant that night, and that's how the two first meet, because Rogers was so impressed with Clark's songwriting prowess. Both the men are married until they give up everything to be songwriting partners, then the wives leave them shortly after. These two incompetents give up their jobs to pursue songwriting full-time. Again, this is the joke. They are so hopelessly bad at it. You don't really feel bad for them. They are so confident they are going to be the next Simon and Garfunkel. It's silly. The agent books them for a gig in Morocco. It's the only place people will pay for them. He thinks it's a surefire way to get money considering how hard up people are for American acts overseas. The pair fly through Ishtar. Hoffman gives away his passport, bags, and clothes to a woman on the run. Little do we know, she's part of a local militia. Beatty gets on the plane to Morocco while Hoffman waits at the embassy for his new passport. A man from the embassy takes him out to dinner and says he's in the CIA, to which Hoffman has no reaction. Hoffman is recruited by the CIA, who will pay him extra if he becomes an informant while they're booked in Morocco. The militia leader tries to get her bags back in Morocco, breaking into Beatty's room. He stops her and she tells him about a map found in an archaeological expedition that will incite the Middle East. He kicks her out. The next day he goes on stage without his partner and flounders until Hoffman shows up and hams it up. As time goes by, what ends up happening is Beatty is recruited by the local militia. The CIA tries to get Hoffman to spy on Beatty, the militia tries to get Beatty to spy on Hoffman, and the two of them are too dumb to get anything right. There's a scene where Hoffman is following Beatty, the CIA is following Hoffman, the Russians are following the CIA, different Middle Eastern governments are following each other through a marketplace, and the only ones without any idea of what's happening is Beatty and Hoffman. Finally realizing neither are assets and have turned into a liability, both the militia and the CIA set out to kill them. Misunderstanding a code, Beatty buys a blind camel, which leads to a running gag of the camel running into someone and someone saying, "What's with the camel? Is it blind?" Well, yeah. The CIA sends Hoffman out into the desert, telling him there will be an oasis where the CIA will pick him up. Of course, they just sent him to wander the desert and die. The militia gives Beatty a necklace and tells him to drop the beads. At night, they will glow and lead him back to the city. They don't, of course, because they are sending him out to die of thirst in the desert. As they wander, the pair eventually start to come clean with each other about what has been going on. There's no oasis, the beads don't glow, they run out of water and are trying to figure out how to survive. As they wander, they talk about their career and how much better their music will be now that they've had this life experience. They stumble across an arms deal. Beatty heads down to try to see if he can get some water from the trucks. He poses as a potential buyer by covering his face. Hoffman gets mistaken for the auctioneer. Humor ensues. The CIA has been tracking Hoffman and sent a helicopter out to see if they are dead yet. They fly over the arms deal, causing everyone to scatter, leaving all the weapons behind, which Beatty and Hoffman pack up and take with them because they figure they should. These guys are just a bunch of morons, and they aren't even lucky morons. So the girl from the beginning catches feelings for Beatty and comes to save him. The CIA flies back out to put them down. Of course, now the two idiots have weapons and start shooting at the helicopter. And the CIA has to back off. During the shootout, they discover the map sewn into the lining of Hoffman's jacket. They use the map as a bargaining chip. Not for anything useful. No, they use the map as a bargaining chip to launch their careers. The final scene of the film has us back at the club in Morocco, where they are performing to a packed house of military personnel, militia members, and CIA agents. Their act is god-awful. I think this is a significant reason this movie got so much hate. They start as incompetent buffoons and are still incompetent buffoons at the end. Their journey did not change them. They aren't any wiser. When we talk about stories, we talk about character arcs and the hero's journey and all those phrases you learned in high school English while being forced to read books you would otherwise have enjoyed if you weren't forced to read them. It is not satisfying that Hoffman and Beatty are not better for their experiences. They get what they want, a packed audience, a record, their name up next to Simon and Garfunkel's at the record store, but they are just as moronic as they were for the rest of the film. It was hard for me to find a copy of Ishtar. The library didn't have a copy. When it was suddenly streaming on Showtime, I jumped on it. It's not a bad movie, but if you aren't in on the joke and it isn't to your sense of humor, it probably won't click for you. On the other hand, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, and Edgar Wright have all listed it as one of their favorite films. Whether criminally underappreciated or overwhelmingly hated, Ishtar has gone down in history as one of the most noteworthy box office bombs, and that might make it worth a watch in and of itself. Until next time, that's all we have for Anything Nice to Say. Maybe not all dreams are worth following, and never be ashamed to like what you like. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check out our merch store for all things Anything Nice to Say, and head over to Patreon to subscribe for exclusive content and your name in the credits. If there is a movie about which you would like me to find anything nice to say, drop it in the comments.